Welcome to round 4 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of October 7th. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hi there.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
As moms of teens and young adults, we've survived those little kid days, yet we're still rethinking the decisions we've made all through our kids' lives and worrying about what's going on right now. Today's Thursday, which means it's time to give into our obsessing about parenting details big and small, like why we get so obsessed with volunteering for our kids' activities and activity-adjacent things.
Well, I have nothing to say about this, so...
Because you're not as dumb as I am? Is that what you're saying?
Nicole will be sitting back planning her care packages while Catherine tells us her sad story of volunteering woe.
Go ahead.
What did you go and do, Catherine?
Well, what I did, if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you may have heard me complain and whine and moan about, for our skating trips, the skating team, I have been helping with setting up meals for the team. The team and also sometimes the families on the trips. And it's a ton of work and it's a pain because, you know, you have to like find restaurants in foreign cities and call up restaurants and say, can you seat 150 people? And can you serve like something we want to eat? Anyway, and then have people fill out Google Forms, and no matter how carefully I word them, people don't get it.
Yeah.
So anyway, my son is in the High School Musical. He is a freshman. This is his first time being in the High School Musical. And back in the late summer, somehow the request went out to the parents of musical children that we need someone to coordinate the meals for the rehearsals.
No. And instead of saying, boy, I pity the sucker who gets that job.
Right. Instead of that, I was like, oh, I know how to do that. I can do that.
Oh, Catherine. Have we taught you nothing?
I know. And what I think about the fact that this was 130 people, when you count cast, crew, musicians, and adults, directors, staff.
Yeah.
130 people, 6 times. 6 meals.
Oh, gee. Now, are these meals in restaurants or meals that are like catered or meals that people have to bring stuff for?
Kind of the latter two of those things.
Okay.
For 2, possibly 3 of the days, it is stuff I'm ordering, like 36 pizzas.
Okay.
Or a whole bunch of subs, that kind of stuff. And with parents bringing in, vegetables, fruit, desserts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then a couple of the days, it's going to be more of a meal that the parents are all bringing in. Basically, I made a sign-up Genius, the thing where you can have people sign up to do things. It was 6 pages long.
Oh, gee. What have
for
you done?
5 pounds of taco meat, 1
man.
pound of shredded cheese, 6 packages of taco shells, whatever.
And who's going to be cooking this stuff?
Well, they have to bring it cooked.
Oh, okay.
And I had to put down, I need to borrow one of those giant, we call them Nescos here, it's like a giant crock pot.
Oh, yeah.
That you can serve out of. Nesco is the brand, but I've never, I don't know what else you call it. So I had to say, I need to borrow some of those for the crock pot. And now I'm 1 into this at this point. I've done 1 out of 6. And that was the pizza. So obviously I started myself off.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes.
But I don't know how I feel like I'm going to blow a fuse in the auditorium with all my Nescos and crock pots.
Oh,
full
man.
I don't know. But, the one thing that was kind of fun was seeing all the kids come in and eat. And they were very cute and they were very appreciative. And they're all these just quirky drama kids, and they were just adorable.
Aww.
I just thought they were super cute. And some of them I've known since they were really little, and maybe I haven't seen them in a while. Like, there was one that someone had to point out to me, like, oh, that's so-and-so. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. But I never would have recognized him with his shoulder-length, curly pink hair.
Oh, my.
When he used to have just, like, short blonde hair. So, I didn't know who that was.
They grow up so fast.
Yeah.
And so odd.
As for why I did this to myself, I have no explanation. I really don't.
Yeah, Catherine.
Hi.
You need a checklist the next time you're ready to do that. You need to go through it and say, is this necessary? Will this make me happy?
Yeah.
Will it make my child happy?
Will it spark joy?
Yes, there you go. We need Marie Kondo to branch out into other areas of life besides just clutter. The activity clutter that we create for ourselves.
Well, and the problem is, too, that, like, at least in my experience, once you start doing something like this, you cannot stop until your kid is gone.
Yes.
You know?
And even then, sometimes they might ask if you want to help out.
Right. So, well, I don't think for this high school thing, I think they frown upon, like, entering the building once you...
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, I've basically committed myself for the next 4 years.
Your only hope is that some freshman mom will come in with all sorts of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can say, well, if you'd like to do it, I'd be,
Yeah.
I'd be, like, ridiculously overjoyed to give it to you.
Right.
I think of a better way to say that.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's polite about it. That happens sometimes. People come in with a full head of steam with a freshman and just want to take over. It's like...
And that's when you say... My pleasure. Here you go.
Well, you have to transition, right? You have to transition your leadership.
Yes.
So you have to train.
I will
You're lucky.
say I am doing with some of my skating stuff because it is my last year.
Oh, yeah.
For that. And luckily, at least for some of the stuff that I do, we have some eager beaver, younger...
Oh, good.
Moms of younger kids who are stepping up, which is
not yet
nice.
Jaded and exhausted.
Yes. Although at some of our meetings, the jaded ones have to learn how to, like, keep it down because I feel like they're going to squash these people's enthusiasm before we even get a chance to make use of it.
Yes. The moms have senioritis.
Mm-hmm. They do.
I feel that.
Well, and Terry, you weren't totally immune to this when you were
No, I wasn't. Early in my kids' schooling, I used their special needs as an excuse. Oh, there's a fashion show and you want people to sell tickets? Well, I have 2 kids with disabilities and I really can't be out doing that stuff. And people will give you a pass.
Right.
And I used that for quite a while. And then, we were talking last week about how you start to... a good thing to do is to advocate for your kids' teachers for what they need, and that might involve going to a PTA meeting. And so I did that for that purpose. I had never gone to PTA meetings because I have 2 kids at home with disabilities, and it's hard to get out at night. But I thought, well, I'll go this one time and I will make this pitch for the teachers. And then I just got, it's like getting too close to an airplane jet engine. You just get swooped in.
Sucked in.
And yeah, so then I was all of a sudden doing all the things. And once you start doing it, it does have you get a certain fulfillment out of it and a feeling of usefulness that you maybe don't always get in your parenting life when things don't always go the way you want.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I know how to do this. I can do these things and I will get an outcome that is expected.
I could order the heck out of 36 pizzas.
Exactly. And so you start to get some self-worth from it, and then you just keep going and going. So for a while, my strategy was to take the office in an organization that required the least amount of work, like the vice president of the homeschool organization. Really nothing to do. And you just show up at meetings. And basically what it is that they need somebody to fill that position, even though there's nothing to do. They just need a body.
Right.
So I'll be a body, sure. Put me in.
As long as it doesn't automatically funnel you to being president.
Yes, no, it did not. And there was always an extremely ambitious, energetic person in the presidential slot. So really, it was just a purely ceremonial position. But I had to go to meetings. So I was starting to go to meetings and get seen and get known. And then, when my daughter started in band, somebody that I had made friends with said her husband was going to be the head of the Band Parents Association and they needed a secretary. Would I want to be a secretary? And I thought, well, this would be a good way to get involved, find out what's going on. And secretary is like a step up from vice president, a step up in work because you do have to take the minutes and you have to write them up. But that's pretty much all you have to do. I look at all these other officers and all the stuff that they're involved in, the person who's involved with all the sales and the person who's involved with the tickets and the person who's involved planning the trip. Oh my goodness. And the president who has to deal with all the politics. And it's like everybody else has these huge treasurer. Oh my goodness. Individual accounts for each kid that shows how much money they've earned. Just a horrible job. And I sit there and I take notes and I type them up. So it's like, yes, I'll take that job. But, then the more you get into it and then I took over the website and really it got way beyond anything that was of a benefit for my child. I was way more involved in the band than my daughter was, I think, at some point. And, going to the games and networking with the other parents and setting things up. And it just, so it got to be that was my thing more than it was her thing. Right. And that's not necessarily healthy, but it does, it's when you have, my kids had been out of the mainstream for so long. This was sort of like my chance to be in the mainstream, which is sad. And I feel bad about it, but it felt good at the time.
Well, and I don't think it hurts. It doesn't hurt your kid for you to be.
Yeah, it didn't hurt, but there are things that I probably could have done to help her that I didn't because I wanted to be cool, you know? So that was, it gets to be, it just takes on a life of its own apart from any benefit to you. You start it to benefit your child and then it becomes about you.
Right.
And I certainly volunteered for a number of things that I thought, this is excruciating. And I asked to do this.
Right. Well,
how does this happen?
Then if your child wants to stop.
That was out of the question.
There was a skater, and the mom was pretty involved, and she was really good. All the rest of us were like, oh, thank goodness for her, because she's great at this and that job. And then her kid quit, and we're like, oh, man, now we don't have her anymore. So, her kid quit, so she resigned from the board, and we were like,
wow.
Oh, man.
Did you say, would you like to adopt my child? You can do all that stuff for her.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that would be difficult. That would be hard. So I never gave my daughter the option to drop out of band. She was stuck in it for 4 years.
Well, I don't have any. I don't have anything to say.
Smiling to yourself in the corner this whole time.
Nicole spent the whole time going, I have dogs at home. I really can't leave them. I'm sorry.
Well, in all fair, and in fairness to me,
yes,
I did spend a lot of my kids' life working as a teacher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I was doing what I could I was doing teacher stuff and school stuff, and then I would try when I could to volunteer here and there. I never took on any big projects like Catherine, but maybe little bits and pieces. Like if I had to bring veggies and dip, I would, right?
Yeah.
I'd force myself to go buy the veggies and dip. And then in later years, I'm just so tired of schools and volunteering in general. I hear that. I was experiencing it double.
Right.
So rather than spread out, I had more than enough field trips, more than enough events, more than enough, So just thought, what, there's lots of moms out there who like to do this stuff.
That's true.
Go for it.
Yeah, and you don't want to get in their way.
Who are more susceptible to guilt than you.
Exactly.
Well, see, you were working for schools and for children on a macro level, right?
Exactly.
You were doing podcasts. You were writing books. You were giving speeches. Yeah. That's how you contribute.
There you go.
Not the bake sale.
not the bake sale. I have other skills.
You got the bigger picture in mind.
Yeah. So, not feeling any guilt here. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. Guilt-free for Nicole.
Okay.
So that's it for today's Round 4. Tune in tomorrow when we'll share our Roundabout Roundup of things we've been using or enjoying lately that we think deserve a shout-out. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.